Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Victor, and welcome to my YouTube page, which is all about helping people navigate their awakening process. And this is part 2 of this week's Ascension question and answer videos, where I answer all my subscribers' questions, or at least as many as I can get to. I always leave the questions in the description box below. Can one fall back asleep? Now, there's different levels of being awakened. We're all awakened now, but we're not quite on like a truly like Zen master who's 100% sitting in spiritual bliss and ecstasy like some people can. That's where we're kind of heading, honestly. But I assume what you mean is like we are now. Can someone fall back asleep and kind of regress? That's an interesting question that I personally don't know. I believe that almost anything is possible. There really aren't any limits in creation. So is it possible? Probably, yeah. I would definitely guess so. Is it rare? I think so. Because here's the thing, and this comes out of the book, one of my favorite books, The Alchemist. And I don't remember the exact line, but it goes on to say that basically the whole premise of the book is one guy fulfilling his, what does he call it? His legend, his life legend, or they call it like that, but it's essentially following your purpose, finding your purpose, following your heart into your destined path, so to speak, kind of going with that. And this character got to a place where he was literally living on this oasis in a desert with this woman he fell in love with after like being like a broke farmer and like sheep herder, and he traveled all these went through all these wild experiences and like journeys, and finally he found himself in this awesome, beautiful oasis. And he was like, I don't want to leave. His heart was telling him to go somewhere else, and he didn't want to leave. He's like, I want to stay, man. Things are good. I have this beautiful wife who adores me. These people see me as like the king because he did some kind of magical stuff in the book where everyone's like, wow, this guy's a prophet or a master. So he was like, why would I leave? I don't want to go back into the desert, leaving my gorgeous wife who just, kisses my toes every night. And then this wise man, the alchemist, there's a character, the alchemist in the book, he says, listen, here's what's going to happen, buddy, if you ignore your inner calling, if you ignore your life legend. You're going to be good for about a year. And then what's going to happen is the people are going to see that no more magic's coming on you, and they're not going to look at you the same. Your wife is going to kind of get bored and start to kind of stray off. And eventually you're going to be cast out maybe a couple years into it. And your life will push you into your purpose. Your life will force you, very forcefully at times for people, into your life legend, into your core self. Especially with this awakening going on. That's what's happening. That's exactly what's happening. We're being kind of forced into our core self. And there are people who are resisting, but they will suffer immensely, unspeakably, unfortunately. But that's their choice. That is okay. But can one fall back asleep, which basically is the same way as saying ignore their heart's longing, which is getting louder and louder and louder and louder? Technically, probably yes. Will they suffer as a result? Yes. Will they probably end up going back in reawakening again if they're trying to fall asleep? Yeah. Someone essentially was asking if they're, how do you know if your desires, what you want, is actually authentic or not? He gave a specific reference to a relationship. He felt totally content being single and being on his own little path, and all of a sudden he wants desperately to find a girlfriend. And he doesn't know, is that like my ego telling me this? Or is that like authentic? How do you know? Well, sometimes you don't know. But I recommend being more bold and taking action. Because a lot of times, even in taking action in a non-authentic way, you learn something. You learn that, wow, that wasn't authentic. And that's sort of a way for your higher self to guide you into a solution, so you can learn that, wow, I was proceeding from an inauthentic place because of fill in the blank. You make it a self-discovery. So I wouldn't be so I would be more action-oriented and not so well, is it authentic or not? Take action, find out. Sometimes it's very easy. You can just tell. You can just tell by the way your body feels when you're thinking about this thing. Sometimes when there's something you kind of think you want but you really don't want, it's more of like a high. You get into more of a synthetic high, like when you eat ice cream or get drunk or something. You get that buzz, that high. That feels good. It's kind of euphoric, but it's also devoid of something. There's something missing, and you know that. It's more of a synthesized experience rather than when your true core self is filling you with actual divine inspiration that you know deeply is true. Okay? But again, sometimes there's value in taking action in an inauthentic way just so you can learn something. So don't be shy, be bold. Take imperfect action and then deal with the result and learn from your mistakes. Someone asked me if there's any tips for dealing with grief and sadness. Both very painful and heavy emotions that I've experienced myself. I'm sure we all have. And this is just my own, perhaps my own human experience here. I don't have any like spiritual wisdom to bestow on you. But this is something I noticed. I had this pit bull, this like really awesome dog. It was a show quality pit bull terrier. I don't know if you guys are a fan of the breed. I was a massive advocate for the pit bulls. I loved them. It was such a sweet, badass, amazing dog. Everyone loved him. In fact, I spent a bunch of money on this Russian dog trainer called the Dog Wizard. His name was Vladi. And this dog was so well trained, I could go into like a city area and I could make him lay down and stay without any verbal cues. It was like, I could go into a store and I could come back and he would be there. Even if people, we even like purposely had people go and try to like, hey buddy, come on, distract him, and he would not move, he would not budge. He was like my right-hand man. And out of the blue, for no reason, man, he just attacked my daughter. He like straight up went to kill my daughter. The dogs can snap. He's a dog. It was totally unprovoked, totally unexpected. And my wife was able to. She had like a divine like hunch to turn, and she saved her at the very last split second. My daughter was completely fine, but we had to put the dog down, obviously. And it was honestly like the saddest, the most emotional pain I've ever felt in my life. It was the most saddest thing to me. It was one of those things where you just sobbed for hours a day. I was so hurt. But I realized that I could see during this, I kind of like knew, okay, you're going through the grieving process. This is part of it. And I can see where a lot of people would fight those emotions. They'd suppress them and God, they don't want to feel it because it does hurt. It's like gut-wrenchingly sad. But my tip is to allow the grieving process to unfold, because in resisting them, you're locking all that in. You're holding on to the grief, and it's just going to make you suffer big time. It's going to come out anyway, and it's going to probably come out after a whole bunch of like unhealthy, self-destructive behaviors, as in a desperate way to like stop them from coming out. You got to let them come out, and it's going to hurt. You're going to sob. You're going to cry. But that's the energetic release of the grieving process. And I found that even though I was incredibly sad and like literally sobbing like a little baby, I had like my tissues next to me. It was like this messy process. I just had to stop and cry for 20 minutes, 20 times a day for about 3 or 4 days. But that just, as I let it happen, I never resisted it, and it just got less and less and less intense. And within like 5 days, I came to almost a complete acceptance of it. Not that I didn't love my dog, but the grieving process was kind of over for me. And it's okay. So let it play out. Let the grieving process unfold. That's my advice. Let those feelings come through you. Don't resist them at all. That's why a lot of people in our society, in the world, are so dysfunctional with death, because they never were taught to allow the grieving process to unfold, to know it's okay. It's a human being experience. It's a way to deal with the parting of a loved one. No matter how spiritual we become, how enlightened we become, we will always still be sad when someone dies. But you don't need to make a whole lifetime of sadness and grieving. You can go through the grieving process pretty quickly if you just let it happen. One of my subscribers asked me if I have any tips for getting he wants to get out of his head and back into his body. He feels kind of out of touch with his body. A lot of people are out of touch with their body, and he wants to like bring his heady experience of life back into his body and be more grounded and relaxed. So the best thing I would recommend, and I might be biased here because I'm a personal trainer, or at least I was, is exercise. Exercise is the best way to get yourself back into your body. Get moving your body. It's not so much like a meditation that can help, but good old-fashioned exercise. I think the best way to do it is weight training. But any type of working out will do the trick. Specifically, when you train your whole body together, like whether you do a full body weight training workout or something that uses your whole body, that really gets all of your like chi energy and actual physical energy flowing through your entire body when you use your body as one unit, and that will certainly bring you out of your head and into your body. In fact, it was a very interesting phenomenon I would notice when I was a trainer. You know, I would train a lot of people after work. They'd come to me all stressed out, all frazzled from work, and they'd be kind of like bitchy or in a bad mood. But after like a few sets or after like halfway through the workout, they'd be a different person. They'd be like in a good mood. You would tell all that stress went back into their body, and they became more chilled and enjoyable to be around. Young man asked if he should cut down on his drinking now that his Kundalini has awakened, and he doesn't want to like interfere with it or turn it off. He just wants to like make the most of this awesome Kundalini energy. He's so excited about it. And I would say that it depends on the person. Not everybody needs to be a purist in that regard. There's a lot of people out there that'll say otherwise, but hey, you asked me. This is my video. This is what I think. There's a lot of people who are very enlightened individuals who are a little overweight, who don't necessarily eat healthy. They drink coffee. There's a lot of like, here's what enlightenment is. Here's what this whole ascension is becoming your true self. There's room for everybody. Every little potential personality, idiosyncrasy you can possibly imagine, every little breaking, every little chink in the rules exists and is valid and it's okay. The important thing is be your true self. Are you drinking out of social pressure and anxiety? Then yeah, look at that. But do you enjoy drinking? Is it something you truly enjoy? And yes, one can enjoy drinking. However, it's difficult to not fall into like the trap of the charm of alcohol, because it's a very difficult beast to tame in my experience. But you don't have to really do anything that you don't want to do. Okay, you just have to be yourself. And again, sometimes you're just not ready to transcend drinking. It's real easy for a 40-year-old like guru to say to say you shouldn't drink. But to a 21-year-old guy who just got his ID, he just found his confidence, he can go party and he can go meet girls. Is that wrong? Is that an experience he shouldn't have because it's not spiritual? No, that's not true at all. You shouldn't deprive yourself of what you really want to do, as long as it's not harming other people. But you also have to be very honest with yourself and ask your own deep, true motives about alcohol. I drank a shitload. My Kundalini awakened prematurely at 23 years old, and I partied a lot for a few years. And my Kundalini was going freaking crazy, okay? I have a very modest approach now personally, not because of my Kundalini, not because of a feeling of obligation, because of my own personal experience and choice. But if I would have cut myself off prematurely, I wouldn't have had a lot of learning experience that were associated with indulging in those sorts of experiences. We are here on earth. We are here to learn. We are here to experience. We are here to experience contrast. Sometimes it's okay to do things that aren't going to be ideal for you, so you can learn that, hey, that's not ideal for me. The only way to really know is to actually experience it. Someone's concerned they're feeling their Kundalini energy only a little bit. They hear some of my videos and I describe just how intense it was for me, and I explain some of the potential symptoms of the awakening, and they're like, well, I definitely have it. You're lucky. I experienced really severe Kundalini awakening symptoms, and for the most part they sucked. They were a burden, they drove me crazy, they affected my life negatively. And it's not that I had more Kundalini energy than you, is that I was less purified of a being. Again, I was this 23-year-old kid, I was partying, I was like, living it up. And my body was not at all prepared for the rush of energy that I evoked in myself forcefully. Okay? So a lot of times people have these experiences where they feel their energy, but it's just their energy bumping up against resistance. It's not the energy itself. When your Kundalini is flowing and you're truly illuminated, you don't have these uncomfortable rushes of energy. You just have this total body aura where you feel amazing, but there's no real discernible energy flow. So you're actually probably doing better than I did, buddy. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about the fact that you're not feeling them intensely. Again, everyone has their own series of symptoms that are ideal for that person. You don't have to compare why don't I have this symptom versus this. It's all your own individual path. Don't judge your awakening progress by the amount of symptoms you're experiencing. Somebody asked me, how am I so accurate with the energy forecasts I do? If you look at the comment, there are so many people saying like, dude, you're in my head. How do you do that? I can't believe how accurate that is. And I told them, I'm not going to reveal my secrets. But because I love you guys so much, I'm going to tell you how I do it. It's something that, it's a very easy thing for me to do. It's very natural for me. I just know what to say. I can't put it any other way than that. I don't think about what I'm going to say. Sometimes I get like a flood of energy that kind of comes into me and just wants they come in the form of ideas, like a rapid succession of ideas. It seems it's no more mystical than that. But there's a feeling, I feel really good when the ideas come, and I feel very happy, and I just kind of know. I've learned to come to associate this enthusiastic feeling with ideas as like a good thing. People sometimes will call it like downloads from your higher self. You call it that if you want, but it's just awesome ideas that just kind of come to me. And sometimes I'll kind of jot them down. But even then, when I make the videos, I try to like stick to what I've written and like cover all of that. I just let it flow, man. I just talk. I don't think about it. It just comes out of me. It's like a product of being connected. I've learned to connect with my higher self. And then it's just easy. It doesn't seem so woo-woo, like I don't like do some special dance and like, a sprinkle magic fairy dust. It just boop. It's something that we all can do. It's something you can do. And part of it is you just happen to feel a resonance with the videos I make because it's something that will be in alignment for you. There'll be probably a lot of other people, if you were to force them to watch my videos, they're gonna say, this is not for me. This isn't happening to me. What I'm saying isn't happening for everybody. But it will attract the right people to hear the message. That's it, folks. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And again, if you have any questions about the Ascension or the awakening process, go ahead and just leave them in the comment section below. And I'll hook you all up next week. God bless you all. Peace.